So what was life as a kid like then for you?
I had some really good times as a kid, and I think it was more out of the fact that we didn't have a lot. I had a brother and a sister who I grew up with, and they were like my best mates in a way, I suppose. We moved around quite a lot. We lived on council estates. We didn't have a lot of money. There were a lot of times where we didn't have any breakfast or lunch. We were really poor actually. We were really poor. It was almost, looking back, I'm not a kid from the ghetto, but looking back, it kind of was like that. We used to play on a mattress at the end of the road because that was all there was to do around that area, or we just kind of, but through that sort of, that negative time, I just got really strong with my sister and my brother. We got a really close relationship, and my mum and dad split up when I was young, so that was another side of things that made it quite awkward. But no harder than most kids have it. Especially not nowadays, with everyone having no money and no jobs, and the world being pretty messed up, and it's probably more messed up now than it was when I was a kid. You could at least go out on your bike and play out in the street without feeling like you're going to get kidnapped and some pedo's going to come along, or it was bad. But I think out of it, I just turned a negative into a positive. It's allowed me to be creative and express myself emotionally with being creative, and it's allowed me to provide my family with a life that they thought they'd never have. And so yeah, I can't really complain about my childhood, as much as it was crap at the time. It's got me here, really.
Now that you've been successful, have you been back to the old neighbourhood?
I have, yeah. I mean, it's amazing when I go there. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe we used to live here. Rugby isn't the nicest place to live. The outside area of Rugby, like Warwickshire, is beautiful. Like any shire in England. And they've got one of the poshest schools, which is quite a weird, thing, to be living in such a, not a very nice town, but have one of the poshest schools in England. But I mean, Rugby was a time in my life that I was really young at that time, so that was all I knew. But it was only when I moved to Cornwall when I was a teenager, like 13, that I realised how crap Rugby was. Because Cornwall's an amazing place, it's a very soulful place. We live right next to the sea, where music was encouraged, and I used to live in Northampton before that, where people would just rip me down for playing guitar because I didn't play football. And Cornwall was the first place I went to where people would really sort of encourage, like, go and get your guitar, Catchpole, go and get your guitar and we'll sing some songs. And I'm like, oh, okay, oh, you like it, It was the first place I lived where people really liked, music was a good thing.
I guess growing up, we're talking about the 80s as a kid, the big acts that are around at the time, Culture Club, Spandau Ballet, yet your influences are like Al Green and Otis Redding and Stevie Wonder.
I think that's mainly just because, the only music that I could access that I liked was music that my mum and dad were playing from their records and CDs and stuff, I hated all that 80s stuff. I mean, I was a young kid, so I can't remember a lot of it. But I do remember just thinking, what is this, The only person that I loved when I was a kid was Michael Jackson. And then when I found, my mum was playing Van Morrison, Tracy Chapman, and, the Eagles. My dad loved, Bruce Springsteen, a lot of the Americana music, like Woody Guthrie and Bo Diddley and Stevie Wonder, Al Green, and so both their collections were kind of quite similar, really. I think they both influenced each other's musical tastes, Toots and the Maytals, and just good music, good, and once you kind of heard music like that, you don't really want to listen to crappy 80s music. Well, I didn't. I can appreciate some of it now, like New Order, and I like the odd little thing, Gary Newman, and a couple of things, David Bowie, but other than that, a lot of it I hate, really.
Tell me, as a performer, what's it like looking out into the audience and there's somebody from the royal family looking back at you?
That was a while ago now. I've done two things that were with the royal family looking at me. One of them was the Royal Variety, and the other was the concert for Diana. And the Royal Variety, I got to meet Prince Charles and Camilla, but I was like a duck out of war. I didn't really know why I was there, and I was surrounded by people like Tim Curry and Barry Manilow and all these like big names, and I was just like little old me to me. I was stood there and he come along. He's like, hello, that was a lovely performance. Did you write that song? And I was like, yeah, I wrote that song. Yeah, and he's like, it's a lovely song. And do you play guitar? And I was like, yeah, I was playing guitar. He's like, lovely. And then Camilla came along and was like, no, did you write that song? And I was like, that's what he's just said. I was like, it's a weird experience for me. The royal family are kind of, I don't know. I've never really been into the royal family apart from, I do think the Queen is good at her job. She's very good at keeping in touch with the public, but Diana to me was the gem in the whole family, really, that broke the mould for what a royal family should be doing. And their sons, actually, I really like their sons. I think I got a letter from them when I did Diana concert, and I've got it in my bathroom just to play it down a little bit, in the toilet, when you can read it when you're on the Danny. And it's like, thank you for a quite wonderful performance, and with your contribution it made the day a lovely day. And so it's one of those little things that I look back on that I'm really proud of. It's one of those moments actually where I remember I was on after Duran and I was just like, what am I doing here? And then I had a gig and I had to get in a helicopter and fly to my gig. So it's one of those rock and roll moments,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
It must be funny.
Pretty mad though.
Yeah, when people come around to your house and go into the toilet and come out, they must be like,
I think I'm forged.
Is that real?
Yeah. Well, I still question whether the signatures are real. I think personally it's just a secretary doing their job, but I tell people it's them anyway.
Yeah. You did that song with Jason Mraz all those years ago too. That must have been a bit of fun too.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man. I didn't really get to know him that well. I kind of we had the same manager for a while. After that, when I was going to America, but on that day that I went into the studio, he had a camera in my face straight away, which weirded me out. He was making, it was like when online was getting quite big, and I didn't really like the fact that he had a camera in my face straight away. I wanted to meet him on a human level, and it didn't feel like that. But I loved the song, and recording it was one of the first collaborations I'd done, so I was really excited about it. And it's one of those songs that actually get a lot of people coming up to me saying, I love that song, I'm like, well, it's not mine, so... But I enjoyed working with Jace. He's a good artist, and I've seen him live. He's got a great band, but I didn't get to know him that well. He's quite a closed book like that, Jace.
Well, I've been really enjoying listening to the album, and there it is, The Awakening.
One.
And it's James Morrison's latest record, Blue Eyed Soul, I guess they call it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what it gets called. But I mean, at the end of the day, soul music's soul music. It doesn't matter whether you got blue eyes or brown eyes, or white skin or black skin. It's all about what the output of what you're saying is, and if it's real or not. And that is 100% real. And
you do have blue eyes.
I do have blue eyes. Yeah, sometimes they're red.
Red-eyed soul.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'd like to hear some red-eyed soul.
I think the next album might be Red-Eyed Soul. But no, I think I really enjoyed making that album. I poured my heart and soul into it, and it was made out of one of the most difficult times of my life, and it's turned that time into this time, which is now. I'm traveling the world. I'm back in Australia. I've been to America. I'm going to America again. Just come from Japan. I did a big European tour, so I can't complain, man. It's awakened me to what real music can give you, and I'm just loving it. I see it all for what it is now, and I've got the experience to actually enjoy it, and I'm probably singing the best I've ever sang. And yeah, I'm in a really good place, and that album is intrinsic to me getting here. So check it out.